which has run for the second time. I am very happy to be with you on air again, live session. The first live session I had in the month of September, and now this is the second session which was required. In fact, for this there were certain queries and anxieties in the minds of the participants, as I could know from the messages which we got. The idea was that particularly about the examination pattern. Well, before you talk about the examination pattern, let me say something about this particular course. This course was designed particularly for the engineers, practitioners, and the students who are at undergraduate and postgraduate level, because initially we had thought of a course which is just regular course, but then from IIT a course must be having something different than what it has normally, and that is why we have tried to give the basics of each and every machine design, its operations and concepts, and then we have gone into the most modern aspects of the whole design or the new machines which are coming in a particular area. For example, we have talked of the sprayers, the backpack sprayers, and then we have gone up to the ultrasonic sprayers and things like that, and even we have talked of the robot as well. Not to the extent that we should be talking, but then we just introduced that it is possible to have robots, and maybe we talked of a IIT Agri robot, or a drone. So depending upon the situation that you have, a drone will be required if you want to take an image of a particular location in a crop and see what is the condition of the crop, either the infestation if it has taken, or the fruits if they are in the right condition or not, whether they are ripened or there is some infestation because of the insects, pests, etc. These informations we would know, and this is very essential for the health of the crop. And then if you talk of the robot, generally we have very difficult situations for harvesting of some of the crops. For example, cotton. You might have seen how people, particularly ladies, mostly involved in this, and then they pick up the cotton balls from the very bush, and which is very, you can say that very difficult to even go inside. And then when they go inside, there is hardly any protection for their fingers, and when they pick up the balls from the cobs or the plant. So we thought of having a robot which will go and try to pick up those balls and collect. Now, some sort of work has also been going on at IIT Kharagpur, and that's what we wanted to explain to you and display to you. It must have given you some idea as to what other things you can think of. Behind these, I mean, the thinking behind all these preparations for this particular course was that you can think beyond. Just introduction of certain things have been given in case of, particularly in case of the very high-ended research and all that, but that will open an horizon, and you can think of the possibilities of utilization of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, embedded systems, ultrasonic sensors, and solenoid valves, etc. And we have also given some details of these components during the course of discussion when we had. We have dealt with in more detail about the soil dynamics part of it, which is very much required by particularly the practitioners who are not agricultural engineers per se, but they are mechanical engineers and they are working in tractor industries. So many a times they are faced with the problem of understanding actually the soil with respect to the implement, and the combination of the soil, implement and tractor system to understand better what is the type of soil, what problems the soil may have, or what type of soil, particular soil may create difficulties of operation of this particular equipment or implement which is operated in that soil. So for that we have dealt with in all detail the right from the first implement of just opening the soil, which is the moldboard plow. Then we have gone about you can say the cultivator. Then we have gone about the other aspects of design, and we have also talked of the tire design, which has a great relevance with respect to the soil, because the tire has to grip the soil, and then only it can pull the implement which is behind it. And many a times we are still not in a position to utilize maximum power of the tractor when we are talking of the tillage implements. And this I have dealt with in detail about what is the mechanics of that, and what is the aspect of design which affect this part. We have talked of the equipment which are needed for you can say which are needed for intraculture operations, interculture operations, transplanting, seeding, etc. Several such equipment we have talked of. Well, in the meantime, let me ask, there is a question here, which type of question will be asked in exam? Yeah, I know that this is the thing which you are all interested to, but just I wanted to give a background of what we have done so far. And we have also talked of the drawbar in continuation of what I was saying. I'll come back to your question, and in fact I said that this is the crux of today's talk or my live session. But then you must also think that what is the idea behind these, because when I have thought of a question paper to be offline, this has many things which will help you later once you have understood the aspects which we wanted to communicate to you through our slides, through our talks, and through the assignments that we have given you. We wanted that you should be in a position to have a strong grip onto the subject and utilize wherever it is required. That was the main aim. See, we have seen over the years, in fact, if I just give a brief example of what you know, that IIT's joint entrance examination, which used to be from 1960 to 2000, it used to be an exam which was a single exam, and there used to be a subjective type of question. In fact, when I appeared in 1974, that time also we had physics, chemistry, mathematics and English, and we had to write quite detail about each paper, and also the English, as I said. And there a concept was that a problem was given based on a certain concept. Is a physics problem or a maths problem or a chemistry problem, not necessarily just remembering a particular item and then say yes, no, or pick up a question, pick up a answer out of certain given answers. That always keeps in mind certain ambiguity and less of clarity of that particular subject. This is what is the understanding. But over the years things change. Well, I will tell you why they change. They change because in 2000, when the number started growing, I am talking when I appeared joint entrance exams in 1974 and got into IIT. That time the maximum number, as I could gather, because I was also the organizing chairman from 2005 to 2006 and vice chairman 2004. So I can tell you that those times the total number appearing in the whole country was about 60 to 65,000. Now, you may say that the ratio of the selected people and the people appeared is more or less same, about 2%, less than 2%, top 2% that we are taking even today. But the concept changed because it was difficult to correct those copies in say 2000, where the number was something of the order of about 1.5 lakhs, 1.95 lakhs, things like that, 2000, 2001. So the thinking was that let us have a two-stage elimination process, and the first stage was the multiple choice type of MCQ type of questions. There the question was given, certain answers were given, and you have to pick, and many times we have seen that those who scored very high in the screening test, which used to be called as a screening test, very high in screening test used to get very low in actually the main examination, which we had the number compared to the screening test, we have less number for this examination, and then it was possible for the IIT teachers to correct those copies and subjectively see each and every step and then give step marking at that time. And it was possible to complete within the time of about 6 weeks or so to bring the result by 1st of June, so that the people can take admissions by July or so. Now things started becoming more and more, and many other aspects entered into this particular concept of having a MCQ type question paper. The variations in the question paper started coming, sometimes negative marking, sometimes 2 answers out of 4 and things like that. Variations started coming into this, and you entered into this, all the students entered into this mode. Over the years, now we know that the current number of the one who are appearing in JEE is about 17 lakhs, but the number which is being picked up for the final admission to all the 23 IITs is in the order about 15 to 20,000 only, and in fact the rush is for the top 5 or 7 IITs, initial 5 or 7 IITs. So it has been talked of over the years now that many a times the students when it's a feeling, you may think differently and you may say that no, by having a MCQ type of question paper, definitely you are not losing people who are very intelligent and all that. It's not so. I mean, there may be a difference opinion, one can argue for hours, but then if you consider and permit me to allow me to say, I would say that a general acceptance is that when you think about a problem, you write all the formulae or the equations and things that you know, and then proceed in a certain manner. But and that gives you the perfect knowledge that you have on your in that particular subject or on that particular topic you have. That is what is the idea behind all these. Now, when you have the multiple choice type, and if there is no negative marking, many a times you will just randomly do it, and some people follow a particular pattern and score and all that. But then that gives you lot of uncertainty. You may think that, well, my 90% of the answers are correct, but ultimately when the result comes out, something else, many a times something else comes out. So it has been hoped and it has been thought that if you want to have a grasp on a subject like farm machinery, or a subject where there is a design, or a subject where there are certain aspects of thinking required for design, because I said in the earlier, I said earlier that we are giving you a concept by which you can think beyond this particular course and beyond the design which has been taught to you. You can think of something else. You can think of applying a particular principle in a certain other location as well. So that was the idea, and that is why we thought that a offline course or offline examination will help you to grasp the subject better. You will think about it, about the question, about the type, and about thinking and writing as well. You will have to write. See, the pattern which we have discussed or we are going to give it to you, which will be there to you, we will have a mix of everything. For example, since the assignments, all the assignments are your MCQ type, and we have given answers there, you will have something out of that. In fact, it is the requirement that you will get certain questions out of that, out of the assignments. And then the talk which we have discussed while my deliberations on each topic, something you need to remember, something you need to remember from the slides, something you need to remember from the formulae and the concepts which I have described, the ideas which I have described and things like that. So apart from this, a section of say certain questions to be answered, multiple choice, where you will have certain marking. You may have negative marking as well. You should be careful about that. If it is there negative, please be careful about answering. Then you may have a section. Actually, see, when we talked of particular thing, for example, I'll just give a simple example of a weight transfer. when somebody asks you what is weight transfer, many people will tick that okay, transfer of weight from the front to the rear and from the implement to the rear and things like that. But if the concept is to be explained to you and you are asked to explain in say 200 words or 300 words or 100 words, something like that, then we want you to concretize your ideas and answer those things only which are required. Just concretize your ideas, write just to the point. So we would want you to be very specific and be clear in what you have learned, and that there will be some questions like that, that okay, short questions where you will have to write. We may not be asking you to write a big diagram and explain and all that, because that will unnecessarily take time. But the conceptual, in order to show some concepts, if you want to make a small diagram and show it, fair enough, no problem about that, because manually we are going to evaluate those. So there may be questions of short answers, maybe 100 words or 200 words, and there may be slightly bigger of say 300 or 400 words, something like that. Then after that we will have certain problems, because we have done problems on each topic, and you can see that in the end we have talked of several types of problems put together, and then you have worked out those problems. In fact, those problems give everybody an idea about how to understand a particular situation of design. If you have a soil, if you have a crop type, if you have an equipment to be designed, a portion of the equipment to design, a machine or equipment to be tested, then how should you proceed? What are the parameters you should think of? How should you what you should employ for calculating a particular value, for example, efficiency, or you are talking of performance index, or you are thinking of finding out the throughput capacity of a thresher, whatever. So when you are thinking of all this, you should be reading a particular problem for about 5-6 lines, 4 lines, what is given, and then try to understand from the inputs which are given there, and try to employ those inputs into the equations or the formulae or the concepts which you know, and then you will be in a position to answer that. I am sure the questions will not be from somewhere which you have not seen at all. Definitely will be from the place where you have already seen in the assignments which have been given. You might have seen some of the assignments are, although it is a multiple choice questions and all that, but you have to work out and then get the answer. So the idea there is that you should be able to have a concept on that, and the same thing now, instead of just picking up a particular answer, now you will have to work out and see. And many a times, if that is there, we can give you a part marking also, because there we will have an idea that okay, this person has tried to attempt up to this, and then he has got. So there is an advantage in that type of correction as well as that type of question as well. So actually, if you talk of the questions, will be on these 3-4 types that we are thinking of. We are not thinking of asking you to design a very big problem and then pick up things and something which you have not learnt in this course, not at all. It is definitely connected with from lecture number 1 to lecture number last 60, and then whatever assignments that we have talked, whatever discussions we had on the forum with my teaching assistants, we have tried our level best to answer questions. Many times there might have been some slip here or there. We feel sorry for that, but I think we have tried our level best to communicate and see that the best of the subject is delivered to you. That is the idea behind this particular course so far. So you can think of a question paper where you will have certain portions where you will answer in MCQ type, then certain short questions that may be certain slightly again brief but slightly more number of words than this, and then you will have certain descriptive type of problems where you have to work out each step and then get the answer. This is the whole thing. Yes, many a times when you face such a question paper, you will have to, you fall into a trap of the time management. So your time management has to be very clear. Last time we saw that many of the students, the attempt was slightly in a different fashion. See, you should think of where the marks are more, and how we should plan, how we should start the answering the question paper depending upon where more marks are there, and things like that, where you are confident. So accordingly you should feel relaxed and try to answer. Be confident on the subject that you have read and the topics that you have read. What is my way of looking at it, and I would always request you that please be thorough on that particular topic. We have given several references, then we have given many examples, and I think we have tried to give you a lot of information about a particular topic, a particular chapter, which you will not find in any book so detailed. We have tried to give it to you. Well, I don't claim, somebody should not put me for that, but then I can say that we have tried our level best to see that maximum goes across to you and you utilize the maximum of such a thing. This is what we want. Well, if you have any specific questions, sometimes, as I said, that maybe while on the forum or what clarifications, there might have been some problems. I think we have sorted out, and we hope that you should be in a position to get the best out of this particular course. Well, there is a question, what is the benefit of NPTEL certificate? In fact, this is definitely very beneficial. Some of the students who are in other engineering colleges, they will get benefit of credit. If they get this thing, then they can get credit relief at this out of their syllabus. This is what I know. At the same time, this certificate will help you. Even you can, for some examination, if you are going, you can show, if you are not an agricultural engineer and mechanical engineer, if you are showing that this course you have done, there is a certificate, you have scored well, then it will give you an edge over other people who will be there, and then you will be better suited for a design. You can think of this, if the certificate if you get, definitely it helps you, because then you have undergone this course for about 12 weeks and listen to the various lectures. So why not have a certificate? If you imagine that you learn and then you say that no, I don't mind, why, there is no need of certificate and all that, fine, you may think like that, but then it is always advantageous, because once you have gone through the course, why not test my ability and see where I am, what I know, what I have picked up from this particular course, what I need to do, or what are the things which I can pick up as a professional and go ahead in life. There are many ways of looking at it. So a certificate is always good. If many times people think of auditing a course, which people do it, but I would put it slightly different in a favorable way, that if you are talking of auditing a course, that means you have attended the course, every class, and then you have attended to assignments given to you. So when you have done that, why not test your ability of how much you can recall, how much you can remember, how much you can apply into a particular situation for a design or for solving a problem whatsoever. So I would always feel that it is better to have a certificate. Thank you. Well, if you have any specific questions, we would like to answer. Otherwise, I would say that the idea behind this particular session was to have an audience with you, and you can ask any question, not necessarily from the examination as such, because I also don't remember. The question paper has been made long back, and then it's on the way. So next month you will be appearing. Now, the topics which we have considered, again I will say that some of the topics which are very relevant, for example, I will say that we have talked of a machine which is for sugar cane. See, there is a big problem of sugar cane in with the farmers, and lot of material, the material which is actually utilized for planting sugar cane is lost. So people are now thinking of having a bud, only keeping the buds, which will help us in the growth of the plants. So we have thought of a different concept of planting and sowing of, we say sowing because it's not, we say planting, because generally we don't say sowing of the sugarcane, but we say planting of sugarcane. Generally, you might have seen that we talked of the sets about 35, 40, 38 centimeter sets are cut, where there are at least 3-4 buds are there, eyes are seen, and then those are planted. But the material which you have to carry into the field is quite high, and so many tons of that per a particular hectare. And many a times we lose that as well, because all do not come up. So the concept has been that why not we use the only the buds of the sugar cane, and then see how much we save and how convenient it becomes. So for cutting the buds itself is a problem. So what we did, why not have a machine which is in a position to identify the bud and then cut it in a certain shapes and size. So for that, the one which we have explained to you already is that we are talking of the size of the bud, and there is a sensor which is sensing while the cane is in the process of movement towards the cutter. And once it is sensed, immediately by that distance, because we have synchronized the distance at which it is sensed and then sent to the computer, and then the activation of the blades take place. So it has been well synchronized, and then we are in a position to cut those buds. And then if we have those buds, it is easier to use a machine to cut these buds. And this is we have used a ultrasonic sensor by which we are in a position to cut the buds, and it is faster. So it will be difficult for a person to cut so much for a particular hectare of plantation in sugarcane. So we have designed that machine which is working with us. So this machine is one aspect. Secondly, once you have the buds, how to plant them? We have used a simple concept of cup feed type. Slightly bigger cups are made, if you have seen the design and if you have seen the machine that we have discussed into the class for this. You will see that we are in a position to utilize those cups where the buds are there, and then those are going into the furrow, falling into the furrow. Now there has been certain else as well, because once it falls into the furrow, if we need to identify that yes, it has fallen into the furrow, and at the same time, because it falls directly into the soil, and there may be some insect, pest, etc., or some microorganisms or certain things of the soil which may attack and infect our small bud. So in that case, it may need to be disinfected, and that is why some chemical is also sprayed onto that. So we have designed there also a ultrasonic sensor type of a mechanism by which we are in a position to check the moment the bud falls, there will be a spray of that, so that it is sanitized and then it is covered. And we have seen that the growth is not very bad. It is comparable to what we have seen in general way of doing it, in fact sometimes better also. But of course, these need to be tested more and more places, and we are thinking of modifying and not modifying necessarily in the present situation, but we want to have more and more machines of this kind and see its operation at various locations, and then see the performance and see its review from other people. This is a concept which has been. Secondly, you see that another thing which has been a menace to us is the weeds. We have talked of the weeding. See, the weeding has been a concept right from the beginning, and this weeding has been that only within the rows we should remove the weeds. This is what I have told in my class as well, if you have gone through the video. And the one which is in the row, that means intra-row weeds, and of course you know that what a weed is as compared to a plant. So we need to take up those also, and generally if those plots are very small, particularly in you can say these horticultural crops, vegetable crops, the gardener or the person removes each and every weed, and that's why he gets a very good crop even for a very small land, very small amount of land. But when the land is big and when the grasses are more, it will be difficult for him to go into each and every row and in between each and every plant and then take out those weeds. And as such, it is a very big problem. We don't get people for doing this particular job in the peak season. Generally, after 3 weeks of sowing, which we say 21 days after sowing, these weeds grow in both the locations. So, and the amount of weeds that have been found so far are maximum in between the rows and about 15 to 20% intra rows. So, why not remove them as well? Because today the technology has gone very far forward, and then why can't we use the technology to see that we can clean? And that's why we are thinking of intelligent machines. And there we can use our knowledge of artificial intelligence, we can use our knowledge of ultrasonic sensors, or whatever is the available from the knowledge of other branches of engineering, and we utilize that. So, similar way we have also designed, and I'm sure you must have gone through that lecture as well, where we have talked of the intra-row weeder, inter and intra-row weeder. So, inter-row is fine, mechanically we are doing. So, there the idea is that while we can use the power of the tractor or the power source that we can use the same thing for inter-row. Why we can't use with changes and with the modifications using the modern technology for cleaning up those? And you have seen that we have done it. So, this is another thing that we have in a position to do inter and intra-row weeding, and that has helped, and it will help every farmer for that matter. And it is beneficial more so particularly for wider row crops, where you can see that the plants are at distance and then enough space is there for the tractor to go. Maybe the cereal crops, it may not be that useful unless the crops are grown in such a way that you have enough time, enough space for the tractor to go, and enough time to take care of those exigencies while the crop is growing and all that. Because we thought it is thought that once you remove the weeds, then next 3 weeks or so the crop grows, whereas the weeds are not there at all. So, maybe they will come up. We are not talking of complete eradication, which is impossible, because we don't know where is the seed, and we get the seeds, we remove them, even we do uproot them, but even then again comes. So, they will keep, and that is why we call that these are weed control. That means controlling of the weeds in such a way that by the time their growth is you can say restricted, then the plant grows. And once that happens, we are in a position to get the crop, and at a later stage, because of the shedding etc., those are not in a position to affect and do not share the nutrients and do not try to take the nutrients from the plant, and that is why it is good. So, this is another thing which helps you in using modern technology. We have used this also in case of see these seed drills. When we are talking of drilling seeds, we have several examples of seeding, because many times we find that the seed drills, a lot of seed drills have been designed, but we lose the seeds. Many times the missings are there, and several aspects we have seen while we operate a seed drill. So, we have utilized this concept of embedded systems and ultrasonic sensors or different other ideas into the seeding part as well, where we are in a position to find out first what is there in the soil. That is one part of it, because many times we do not know what is there in the soil, and we have been doing it. Our agronomists say, and we follow them in toto, that okay, this much of N, this much of P, and this much of K has to be given, and we do that. We have been doing those things, But then question arises that should we not know what is there in the soil already before I want to apply these nutrients? So, why not find out? And once you think of finding out, then you need that, okay, is it possible that on the go we can have a sensor which will just go into the soil and tell us in front of the, it will go in front of the tractor and tell us what is there. And so, just behind the tractor, which will be in a distance of about 3.5, 4 meters or so, and then the application can take place, that okay, at this particular location the N is less, P is less, or P is okay, K is less, and things like that. So, we can apply even NPK all. But the concept of NPK, initially what we have been taught and what we do, and we still continuing, that N is given the basal dose, and then P and K are at certain stage, and this N is also into different parts. So, we may not connect N with P and K, but we can think of giving the basal dose for N, and then what are the subsequent doses that we can give, and at least particularly that can be controlled. And we have seen that using embedded system into such a machine, we have developed a variable rate fertilizer applicator, and I am sure you must have gone through the video and seen that we have explained how we have done it using the GPS and then the modern technology, and try to learn something in this. See, the idea has been that you should be, you are exposed to these aspects of design, aspects of concepts which can be employed, and I am sure that this will give you better horizons, think beyond this and think more and more. You may think of a simplified method of doing this. You may think of designing a small sensor by which you can immediately find out what is the type of soil, what is the pH of soil. In fact, some soils, say, I mean, these are there, but maybe what is the amount of nitrogen in that, how much nitrogen, how much P is there at a particular location on the go. We have tried and we have shown you that the aspect of one for the particular one design which I said, we have talked of a map based approach, where we have mapped the whole field initially, and then use the software to identify those locations through GPS, and then change the seed, the fertilizer opening, etc., where we can apply the chemical or the fertilizer that is there. So, this we have tried to do through this. Now, what I emphasize again, that we want you to think in those terms and come out with the usual design of plow, this and that, but come out and think of how best the modern technology can be utilized for solving every problem for that matter, whether the problem belongs to farm machinery, whether the problem belongs to water resources or land resources, or you can think of design of a dam, or think of a sprinkler, or think of design of a you can say the channel, and whatever. You can think of how to how a system could be remote controlled and still you can use it, rain gauges and operation of rain gauges and things like that. You can think of several aspects. You can think of using the same thing in crop processing. You can think of storage of those those grains, and you can have a system by which you, sitting in your office, you can see what is the condition of the grains in a particular stack in warehouses or in the storage bins, etc. So, this Verizon, the course that has been thought of and delivered to you, not necessarily only the topic, but opens a thinking of the participants. I would say, why I say participants is that not necessarily all are students. There are some, I am sure some other people might have also joined this course. I am very happy that they have joined and they wish to share their knowledge. Many times we share, because this is a process of learning. When we are teaching, it's not that we teach and then I know everything and the others do not. No, it's sharing. So, sharing of the knowledge, we learn from each other. So during this process, many people are there, the students are there, engineers are there, some other professionals could be there. So I say that all the participants of this particular course, with all humility, and I would still say that we would learn from each other. If you think that this course is useful, if you think that something else can be added into this course, I will welcome. You can write to me, my email, etc. you can get from the net, and then you can write to me, you can write to our teaching assistants, and we can modify this. If you think that this course has certain drawbacks, I am sure not necessary that this is the best course, but yes, we have tried in a different fashion. If you think that something else can be added, if you think that certain things could be deleted, well, most welcome. I would like your suggestions. You can give those suggestions to me, and then I will see that something can be done for this in future. If you have any other suggestions, any other thing which you need to communicate, you are most welcome. I would say that since there are not many questions, is it that we would we have not got any questions from the participants on this live session, but if you feel that still you can think and then write a mail, etc., you can still open. We have through this course, as I explained to you, the total topic that we have picked up, and then the question paper. Then I have talked of certain topics which we have covered and which we think that these are important for you and for your future. And we are also talking of the modern gadgets, modern elements which are available, tools and techniques which are available. People are thinking of having the most modern way of doing business through farm machinery. Why not? You can think of when you think, see, Internet of Things, you can utilize this knowledge for customer hiring. You can think of, okay, sitting in, if you have a fleet of machines or tractors, you can still have the system employed in such a way that sitting in your office you can know whether, when you have rented a particular equipment or tractor, how much its efficiency and whether how much it is working and how much the revenue you are getting. So you can get all information through net if you have the system like this. So these are the things which you can utilize. We have also talked of the testing part, I would go back to that. Since testing is very important. We might have talked of various machines, designs, but when a design comes, every manufacturer has his efforts put in to see that the machine works. He will try his level best to see that the machine works 100% of the time. It is very safe and it utilizes different types of material and materials which are stronger. It will give a better life to this, and the farmer should get a good quality machine. Whatever is the type of the machine, he should be able to get a good quality machine. So for that, the testing is very important. So you might have seen that we have also dealt with the testing of various types of equipment. What is the procedure of testing? And in fact, this is another job where the people can you can think of innovating, because the codes which have been given, well, they are being renewed and thought of and changed over a period of time, over discussions and all that from the experts and the professionals. But still there is need to look into these different types of the codes, BIS codes which are given, and we have foreign codes as well. We have talked of that as well, that European codes and then the RNAM code, test codes. So these codes are there. You can look into this and see how the testing could be performed. What are the requirements of testing? Without testing, no machine can be sold in the market. This is the regulation, and all manufacturers are interested to get these machines tested at a particular test location where they are informed. This is very important part of the business that one has. We have talked of the various types of material. See, what is important is you might have designed, the manufacturer must have designed a good machine which works. But if the machine fails after maybe about 50 or 100 hours of operation, and the farmer is in the midst of his operation in the field, definitely he will be in a bad situation, because then for no fault of his, he will have to wait, delay his sowing season or harvesting season or whatever with the work that he is going to do or doing, it will get delayed, and so he will be losing the crop, losing the revenue out of that. So one must think of this, and that is why in the testing itself we have talked of, and we have also given separately as well, that what are the different materials which must be employed for a particular component, a particular design of a machine, because those, if those are there, it is possible that the machine will last for a longer duration of time, and then the machine will have its actually effect, and then it will be utilized for a longer period of time. It will have more market. People will prefer this machine. You must have seen that why we go for a particular brand. We go for a brand only because we think that there is a higher level of reliability of that. So apart from the money, the payment that you pay, you are looking for reliability of this machine over the period of time, and particularly during the demand of the season when you are doing a particular job. So it is important that while testing, you are considering also what is the type of material which is being used, and you have to give a test of the material as well. Now, I have seen that recently the ICAR, the testing agencies are thinking that even in small machines you test also the engine, not the ones which are there for tractor drawn, but then small machines, they want that the engine should also be tested. In fact, I can say that in one case which we were testing at some for a particular equipment, for a particular operation, we found that while the machine was working perfectly all right in different conditions and different its attachments, but then we found that the engine, when we tested the engine, because we were asked to test the engine as well, performance in the engine, so there the engine failed, and in fact some portion of it got broken. So that result we have to give it. Although if that engine was not tested, then we would have safely said that okay, your machine is fine, you can go and sell. But the moment it is subjected to a high level of vibration and maybe for a longer duration, then it seems that there is something wrong in the material, maybe the construction or the type of material or the shock that it gets, it is not in a position to take that, and that is why it failed. So now testing of engine, and let me tell you that it is very difficult to have testing of the small engines as well, the equipment which are available. We have also talked of the equipment. Testing of engine is one which is important, and testing of, we have talked of testing of tires of the tractor, we have talked of testing of the different types of equipment, we have talked of testing of the engine. And testing of a bigger engine is one where the proper procedure is maintained, and then there are 4 testing agencies, in which one of them is the only one which tests the tractors at FMTTI Budni, but then other locations there are other equipment which are given for testing. So, but apart from that, the other testing agencies or the institutes who have been asked to test the equipment and certify that as particular given format of the ICAR Krishibon. So we have tried our level best to do, but then testing of engine, the equipment are not available for very small engines. So we need to have arrangement by which we can test very small engines. I mean, you can say the engines which are maybe 1 horsepower to 3 horsepower, and then 3 horsepower to 5 horsepower and things like that. There are from 3.5 to 5, there are dynamometers which can be tested. Dynamometer, I am sure I must have told you when you heard you have seen the video. The dynamometer is a device by which we are in a position to load the equipment and see that what is performance. We see its performance, particularly for the engines, over a period of time, that how the it behaves, what is its fuel consumption, and what is the power developed, and what is its mechanical efficiency, what is its thermal efficiency, and what is the economics of this when the engine is operated with that particular equipment. So, this is the thing which we are in a position to do and test and understand these the machines. We have talked of even the economics of whether having a tractor, a 20 horsepower tractor or a 40 horsepower tractor or a 100 horsepower tractor for a particular size of a field is very important. Many times you would like to see that the whole thing the whole gamut of information is there with you, particularly for the tractor or the equipment, and you want to know which one I should pick up, whether I should take up a 60 horsepower tractor and or a 40 horsepower tractor will suffice. So, depending upon the requirement, what are your needs, what are the priorities. If you want to think that no, the fuel economy is a priority, if you think the reliability is a priority, if you think that no, I have to have a bigger machine or a bigger tractor. So, thinking of all these is another aspect of design or other aspects of concept which an engineer should think of and an entrepreneur should think of, and depending upon all the things which we have discussed over, I think I am sure that this course must have given you satisfaction to a great extent. This is my wish, and still I feel that if there are any places where we can improve, we are welcome, and we will welcome all your suggestions and these things, and wishing you all the best for the examination ahead, and see that you do well and be in touch with us. Thank you very much. चले जाते हो, भूल गए लोग।